Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos. It is a beautiful morning here in Huntington. The sun is out. The sky is blue. The temperature read in the high 60s when I was walking here this morning, but promises, from what I understand, to get into the 80s, high 80s today. So it will be a beautiful, beautiful Shabbat. And I say go outside and enjoy it, of course, after services, but we can enjoy Shabbat, sit on your porch, on the swing, take a walk, just enjoy the beauty that is Shabbat. And even if it weren't so nice outside, it would still be beautiful because it is, after all, Shabbat, seventh day of the week, day of rest and relaxation. All right, page 68, we'll begin with reading together Modeh Ani, bit of gratitude to start our day, thanking God for getting us up from our slumber and restoring our soul, which the mystics tell us goes back to God every night for a bit of a cleaning, because it's in the body, and the body is made of earthly matter, and the soul is divine, so it goes back for a little cleaning. Modeh Ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla rabba emunatecha. I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, that you've restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust. Birkot HaShachar, the early part of the service, as I said before, is a sort of warm-up. Get us in the mood for the heavier, or the heavier davening, like the Shema and the Amidah. But Birkot HaShachar and Pesukei Dezimra help us ease into that mind frame of being able to and wanting to talk with God. So page, 74, Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Va'ani berov chastecha, ahavo veitecha, eshtachave el heichal kodshecha, v'yiratecha, el heichal kodshecha, v'yiratecha. Ani Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha, Umekol mishkan kavodecha, va'ani eshtachave v'echra, evrecha lifnei Adonai osi, va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai, Eid ratzon Elohim, berov chastecha, Aneni b'emet ishecha. We thank God for our soul and its return to our body, and now we thank God for our body, Asher Yatzar, thanking God for the marvelous piece of artistry that the human body is, with all the different things that need to function, that they function in their due time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah, uvarav nekavim, chalulim, galu v'yadu lifnei chisei chavodecha, she'im yipateach echad mehem, o yisatem echad mehem, I efshar lehetkayem v'la'amod lefanecha, Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar u'mafli la'asot. The morning blessings, Birkot HaShachar, begin on page 80, thanking God for all the daily miracles of being able to wake up, to get out of bed, to get dressed, to be free, to be a Jew, all of these wonderful things, and we offer our thanks. Top of page 80. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sech v'bina lahavchin bein yom u'bein layla, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivreim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shena me'inai utnuma me'afalpai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And near the bottom of page 86, together in English. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelamed Torah li'amo Yisrael. Page 88, speaking of learning and teaching, a piece from the rabbis. Elu hadvarim, these are the things that are limitless, of which we enjoy in the fruits of in this world, and the principle remains in the world to come, meaning that these deeds that we do get us points, as it were, in this world and also in the next. And most of them, with the exception of the last one, are how we interact with other people. Elu devarim she'ein lahem shiur she'adam ochel perutehem be'olam hazeh v'hakeren kayemet lo la'olam haba ve'elu hein kibud av ve'em u'gemilut chasadim v'hashkamat beit hamidrash shacharit v'aravit v'hachnasat orchim u'vikor cholim v'hachnasat kala v'leviat hamet v'yun tefillah v'hava'at shalom bein adam l'chavero v'talmud Torah keneged kulam. We're going to turn to page 90, Kaddish Rabbanan, perhaps the oldest of our Kaddishes, and for scholars, for the teachers, but also mourners and those observing the yahrzeit can recite Kaddish Rabbanan. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach yeruteh be'amlik malchuteh b'chayechon v'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach l'olam l'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei tekudesha B'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram v'alma v'imru Amen. Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanan v'al Talmidehon v'al kol Talmidehon v'al kol man daskim v'oraita di v'yatra haden v'di v'chol atar v'atar Yehei lahon ulchon shlama rabba China v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin orichin u'muzinei v'vichei u'forkanam min kodom v'vahon v'bishmaya v'ara v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu brachamav ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. That concludes Birkot HaShachar, the preliminary part of the service, and we move into Pesukei de Zimra, verses of psalm and praise, and we begin the top of page 94, Baruch Shamar. Baruch Shamar b'hayah olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Osev Reshit, Baruch Omer v'Yoseh, Baruch Gozer Makayim, Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov l'Reahav, Baruch Chai La'ad v'Kayam l'Netzach, Baruch Podeh u'Matzil, Baruch Shemo. And in English, with songs of praise, we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty, for you are the source of life in the universe. One God, life of the universe, praised and glorious ruler, your name is eternal. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign, who is glorified through praise. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal b'tishbachot. Page 96. Psalm 92, verses from Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat. Every day of the week has a psalm. Every holiday has a psalm. Rosh Chodesh has a psalm. Every day has a psalm, and Psalm 92 is the one that was chosen for Shabbat. Let's read together in English. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadik tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yisgeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. O Jenuvun Beseva, Deshenim Verahananim, Yiyu Lehagid, Ki Ashar Adonai, Tzuri Velo Avlatabo. Continue on 97 with another psalm, Psalm 145, with help from a number of other psalms. Psalm 145 is interesting because it is an acrostic, and it has all of the letters of the Aleph Bet, each verse, except for the letter Nun. And the Nun is left out. It's omitted in Ashrei, because the letter Nun is the first letter in the word nafal, which means to fall. And it's not necessarily a good thing when we talk about nafal, when we talk about falling. And so we don't want Israel to fall. And so we've eliminated the letter Nun from this acrostic. Top of page 97. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Od Yehalalucha Selah. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am shadonai Elohav, Tehillah leDavid, Arumimcha Elohai hamelech, Va'avarcha shimcha li'olam va'ed, Bechol yom avarcheka, Va'alala shimcha li'olam va'ed, Gadol Adonai amla me'od, V'ligdulato ein cheker, Dor l'dor yeshabach ma'asecha, Ugvurotecha yidaber yagidu, Hadar kivod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha, ve'ezuz naratecha yomeru, ugdulatecha asaprena, zecher rav tucha yabihu, v'tzidkatecha yiranenu, chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim ugdol chased, tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav, yotucha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha, כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו. להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד אדם מלכותו. מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים. עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו. פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו. קרוב אדוני לכל קורב, לכל אשר גרו באמת. רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם. שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד. תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah. Continue on the top of page 100, Psalm 150, the final psalm of the book of Psalms. Hallelujah, hallelujah bekodsho, hallelujah berkia uzo, hallelujah bigvorotav, hallelujah kerov gudlo, hallelujah beteka shofar, hallelujah benevel v'chinor, hallelujah betofu machol, hallelujah b'minim v'ugav, hallelujah betziltzalei shama, hallelujah betziltzalei trua, kol haneshama tehalel ya, hallelujah, kol haneshama tehalel ya, hallelujah. Top of page 101, Nishmat. Nishmat kol chai, tivarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. And let's read together in the English. Let the soul of everything alive bless your name, Adonai our God, and the spirit of all flesh glorify and exalt your name forever, O sovereign. Transcending space and time, you alone are God. We have no sovereign besides you, God of the first and the last, God of all creatures, Master of all generations, who is praised in multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness, and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute. And God loosens the bonds of captives. God supports the fallen, and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. We'll continue silently, either in Hebrew or in English, for the next several pages. Ilufinu malei sharim kayam, lo shonenu hina kahamon gala, v'sitatenu shavach, mechaveh rakia, v'einenu miriot. Ein anachnu maskimim l'chaveh l'chem l'chem. Okay, nivarim shepalgatai banu. Kamor LeDavid, Barchi Nafshi et Adonai, V'chol Kravai et Shem Kodsho. Ahel betatzimutu zecha, Hagadol b'chvod shemecha, Hagibor l'netzach v'hanara b'norotecha, Hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisa, Shochein ad maharom v'kadosh shemo. וכתוב רננות צדיקים באדוני לשרים נאווה תהילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל,
ברina yitper shimcha malkeinu b'chol dor v'ador. Yishtabak shimcha lad malkeinu. Ha'el hamelech hagadol ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Ki lecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu. Shir u'shvacha halel v'zimra ozu memshala netzach gedula u'gevura tehila v'tiferet kedusha u'malchut brachot v'hodaot me'ata v'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai El melech gadol batishbachot El hahodaot Adon haniflaot Abocher b'shirei zimra Melech elchei ha'olamim. Yitgadal v'yikdash shemei rabba V'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlik malchutei V'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayecho beit Yisrael V'agala b'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivorach li'olam lomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitvavam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiram v'alma v'imru amen.
We have finished Birkot HaShachar and Pesukei Dezimra. We are now at the very, very beginning of Shacharit, the morning service, which includes the Shema and the Amidah. We've done our warm-up, and now we are ready to proceed. Page 108, Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat kriyat shema lahamlicho b'levav shalem u'liachdo b'lev tov v'lovdo b'nefesh chafetza.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us how to recite the Shema, to declare wholeheartedly God's rule, to declare earnestly God is one, and to enthusiastically worship God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol.
Middle of page 110, we'll continue together in English. Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you form them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch atah Adonai, hayotzer hameorot. Page 112, Ahava Rabbah, with a great love.
Ahava Rabbah Aftanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chem Lagidola V'Tera, Chamalta Aleinu.
And together in English, how deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion, on account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah.
V'ha'ereinu b'toratecha, v'dahabek lebeinu b'mitzvotecha, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה 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 ונשמחה בישועתך. והביאנו שלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו כמו מיעוט לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע ואמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטוהו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. אמת ויציב הוא וחביב ונורא ואדיר וטוב ויפה, הדבר הזה עלינו לעולם ועד. אמת אלוהי עולם מלכנו, צור יעקב מגן אישנו, לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. Let's read together in English in the top of page 121. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame. Stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is your Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, like now and evermore, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. ממצרים גאלתנו אדוני אלוהינו מבית עבדים פדיתנו על זאת שכוח. תהילות ליל עליון ברוך הוא ומבורך, משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה. Yamru chulam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nohora tehilot osefele. Shira chadasha shivchu geulim l'shimcha al sifatayam. Yachad kulam hodu v'himlechu v'yamru Adonai yimloch liolam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael, kuma b'ezrat Yisrael, ufdechenu mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, God Yisrael. We're at the central prayer of the Shacharit service, the Amidah. We're going to begin together on 124 and then chant 126, 128, and 130 aloud together. And then we'll continue silently through the end on 142. You can chant along with us. You can read the Hebrew. You can read the English. You can offer up your own silent, prayerful meditation at this time. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshia U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Meitim Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatahal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim, Sohomech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekaye Emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha Ba'al Givorot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atalach hayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hametim. Mekadesh et shemcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'karazeh el zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Melochol haaretz, Kivohodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch Kivod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'nei chol chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yiktzion, Ledor Vador, Alleluia. Ledor Vador Nagid Godlecha, U'lanitzach Nitzachim Kedushatcha Nahakdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu, Mipino lo yamush li'olam. Ahed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to continue on the top of page 132, the top English paragraph. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallows Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For, being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Page 134, also in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Hoda'ah, thanksgiving. Modim anachnu lach, right? We acknowledge and we thank God for all the wonderful things that God has given us, things that we take for granted, things that are miraculous, things that are unexpected. And no matter what, everybody has an opportunity for gratitude, an opportunity to be grateful during the week. I got to meet someone for the first time this year who had only been able to speak with through the phone. And I had a nice visit with this person and found out that we had a lot in common in terms of things that we like. So I am grateful for that this week, as well as for many, many, many other things. Let's shake things up and read in the middle of 138, the Modim paragraph. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favor at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. And let's close out this morning's Amidah on page 140 with Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chen V'Chesed V'Rachamim, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael Amecha, Baruchenu Yotzreinu Kulanu Ke'echad Be'or Panecha. Ki Be'or Panecha Nahatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torat Chaim v'ahavat chesed, Utztaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom, v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom, v'tov b'einecha l'vaharech et amecha Yisrael. Bechol etu vechol sha'a bishlomecha. Baruch ata Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. I'm going to jump ahead to 253, the Mishaberach. Prayer asking God for healing. If you know anyone who needs some healing this Shabbat or into the week, keep them in your thoughts and close to your heart as we recite Mishaberach together. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yakov, Sarah Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, Hu yivarech et hacholim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimalei rachamim aleihem, Lach limam, l'rapotam, l'achzikam, v'yishlach lehem mehira, refuah shlema min hashemayim, refuah tanefesh, refuah taguf, hashta bagala v'zman, kariv, v'nomar. Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us all say, Amen. I'm going to continue on page 258 and 259, prayers for our congregation, our country, Yerushalayim and Medinat Yisrael. And we can read these together. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us, love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim, yishlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go'alo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smechat Ge'ulatenu. Hagein aleha bi'avrat chastecha, ufros aleha sukat shlomecha, ushlach orcha v'amitecha l'rosheha, sareha v'yoetzeha. V'taknem be'etza tova milfanecha, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam liyoshveha, v'nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land, and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. This morning is also a special morning, special Shabbat. It's Mevarchim HaChodesh. We're going to announce the new month. And the new month. It's going to begin Wednesday night and carry through Thursday and Friday. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu v'imatenu shetechadesh aleinu et hachodesh haba letova ulivracha v'titein lanu chayim arukim chayim shel shalom chayim shel parnasa chayim shetehei vanu ahavat Torah v'yirat shamayim chayim shemimalu mishalot libenu letova. Amen. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, and prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Tammuz Yihyeh biyom Chamishi uvayom Shishi haba. The new month of Tammuz will begin on Thursday and continue through Friday. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos. Recently, I was rereading one of my favorite authors. Sometimes I do that. I go back and read books multiple times. I've read Moby Dick 10 or 11 times, right? Books that really speak to me. So I was rereading one of my favorites, and the opening line of his most famous work crawled into my brain and sort of niggled around there this past week. And so as I was reading this week's Parsha, the neurons in my brain fired up, and 20th century German literature and Parshat Shlach Lecha met. And here's the line that started it all. Als Gregor Samsa eines Morgens aus unruhigen Träumen erwachte, fand sich in seinem Bett zu einem ungeheuren Ungeziefer verwandelt. When Gregor Samson woke up one morning from troubling dreams, he found himself changed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. And thus begins Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. Kafka goes on to describe Gregor. He was lying on his back, as hard as armor plate, and when he lifted his head a little, he saw his vaulted brown belly sectioned by arch-shaped ribs. His many legs, pitifully thin compared to the size of the rest of him, were waving helplessly before his eyes. As we read through Kafka's story, we become increasingly aware that Gregor wasn't transformed one night. Rather, we come to the horrible realization that Gregor was always a vermin. Familial and social expectations and proprieties, as well as professional demands, encase Gregor in a narrow and unyielding exoskeleton, in which he has absolutely no room to grow or move or change. He is a small man with even smaller dreams and hopes. Everything that was or could be noble or heroic in him has died or has been crushed. Kafka's great work is not about a man who one day wakes up and finds himself transformed. It's a tale of a man who wakes up one day to the truth that he has grown satisfied with too little. He has settled for a mediocre life, an ordinary life, and is either too powerless or too lazy to change it. Kafka's novella is a meditation on what happens to our souls and our lives when our dreams are killed and we're left without a purpose. In this week's reading, Moshe sends out 12 meraglim, 12 spies, each spy representing one of the tribes. And they're to do reconnaissance work in the land of Canaan. Bnei Yisrael is poised to be able to go into Canaan and fulfill the promise that God had made so many years ago to Abraham, that they would have this land. All the spies returned with reports of a land flowing with milk and honey. But 10 of the princes, 10 of the heads of the tribes, demur and add something. The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers. All the people we saw in it are men of great size. We looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them. The people, quickly forgetting the previous good reports, complain and cry out, "If only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we might die in this wilderness. Why is the Lord taking us to that land to fall by the sword?" And this comes as no surprise to us, this motif of the people crying out. Here they are, on the edge of getting everything that they had ever wanted, of having their dreams fulfilled, of having the promise made so long ago to their forefathers come to fruition. The moment that these former slaves have been dreaming about for generations has finally arrived. And they are afraid. But I find their response strange. Yes, I understand that they could be a little frightened or a little nervous or anxious. But didn't they see the awesome power of God when God crushed the Egyptians? They witnessed the parting of the Yam Suf, of the Sea of Reeds. They stood at the foot of Mount Sinai and saw the thunder and heard the lightning and heard God's voice. And they have the promise that God will always be with them. Yet they are scared. I don't think that they really fear these men of great size. Rather, they're afraid of becoming free people. With freedom comes great responsibility, and they're afraid of that. Once they cross the Jordan and enter into the promised land, they will become responsible for their own actions and well-being. They are afraid of the new and the unknown. They are afraid of having no guarantees. There is no security, and the fear of that turns them into vermin, into grasshoppers. And they revert back to a slave mentality. Their fear keeps them from growing and moving forward. They want security, and what is before them offers no security or guarantees. So they cry the familiar cry, "Let us return to Egypt." Slavery, horrible as it was, offers them the one thing they desire: certainty. When you are a slave, you can be certain that tomorrow will be exactly like today. However, I think their fear of the unknown is only one part of a larger problem. There's also a failure of vision. It's a problem of distraction. There is nothing inherently wrong with Bnei Yisrael. They simply have no vision. And because of that, they are easily distracted by the negative reports of the spies. If they had remained true to the vision of the promised land that had guided them and their dreams for so many years, they would have never panicked when the spies gave their reports. And we know that our biblical ancestors aren't the only ones who sometimes lack vision and get distracted. We know what is good. We know the kind of people we want to be and the kind of world we want to live in and the kind of world we want to leave behind for those who come after us. But we often fail in achieving those visions because we get distracted. Everything is urgent and important. We are in constant contact with everything and everyone. Everything pulls at us. We are so busy, 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 busy. The greatest threat to our spiritual life is busyness. We are busy with work and family. Our calendars are filled to the point of chaos with appointments and activities. We are choked with commitments and overwhelmed with obligations. We are so concerned with getting somewhere in life that we forget where we're going. We are so driven to become someone that we forget who we are. One day, we wake up and it's too late. Like Gregor Samsa, we are on our backs, limbs flailing, as we realize it's too late to change. Or, in the imagery of the Torah, we wander 40 years in the midbar, in the wilderness, trying to figure out who we are and where we are going. We're like the vermin, constantly scurrying, yet arriving nowhere. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can regain our focus. We can move forward. We can change. This week's reading doesn't end on a bleak note. At the very end, we get what becomes the third paragraph of the Shema. We're commanded to tie tzitzit onto the corners of our garments, and they are not merely for decoration. They serve a valuable purpose, a way of helping us to regain our focus. We read, Lama'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kidoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Thus shall you be reminded to observe all my commandments and be holy to your God. The tzitzit remind us of God's promises. They remind us not to be afraid, not to get distracted by obstacles or seeming obstacles. Tzitzit remind us that we have a vision, that we have a purpose. And at the end, we read, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord your God. God reminds us that God is with us, that God took us from being slaves, literal slaves, to being free. And God can take us from being virtual slaves to being free again. We are not vermin. We are not grasshoppers. We do not have to scurry back and forth. We are a people with a purpose. We carry the dreams of our God and of our ancestors, and by our actions, we make this world a better place. When we remember this, we can look up fearlessly and see the promised land stretched out before us and waiting for us. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. Going to move into the end of services, page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kecho hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim v'Yoser Haaretz, ומשה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. This week, we observed the following yahrzeits. Sarah Lazarus, relative of May. Jeanette Tompkins, relative of Francis. Rosemary Friedman Cohen, daughter of Julius and Lena. Israel T. Gross, brother of Dave. Isidore Katz, Sandy Kolker's father. Ben Romer, father of Bert, Don, and Gloria. Jack Elderman, husband of Rose, father of Ida Strauss. Julia Netchin, Max Netchin's mother. Harold Herbert, husband of Alice, father of Anita, Ellen, and Marilyn, uncle to Maury Hartz. Marion Cohen, Bernard Smith's sister. Al Elderman, relative of Ida Strauss. Lee Selleck, Maxine Yeaget's sister. Ida Gerber, Joan Rose's mother. Lori Gottlieb, Jack and Gail's daughter. Linda and Jody's sister. Bernice M. Kincaid, mother of Sam. Bernard Samuels, father of Melanie. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they all rest in peace. You'll find Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. V'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlik malchute. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah v'vorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran v'yalma v'imgru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imgru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imgru amen. All right, friends, we have reached just about the end of our services. Just a couple of quick announcements. Services tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. No adult ed this week. We pick it up the next 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks during the summer. Each month, June, July, and August, we'll have our Taste of Talmud. Please join us. I'm sure you'll find it interesting, informative, and we'll all learn together. Monday evening at 6:30 is our deep dive into Genesis. No experience required. You can drop in anytime. We're going verse by verse, looking at one of the most important books of the Torah, in which it is filled with the stories of our early patriarchs and matriarchs and how really the world began. Tuesday night is the board meeting. It is live and then or in person, and there will also be a Zoom link. And then Wednesday evening is Yiddish choir. So 7 o'clock, come and get your Yiddish on. And I'm sad to let everyone know that Scott Murphy's grandmother, Elizabeth, passed away yesterday at the age of 99. So we extend our condolences to Scott and Tam and their family on Elizabeth's passing. May her memory always be for a blessing. All right. Our closing song is Ein Keloheinu, and then we'll have Kiddush. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kimalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Chadoneinu, Mi Chimalkeinu, Mi Chamoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Eketoret Asamim. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti liolam. Vishamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Zachor Yom HaShabbat lekadsho, sheshet yamim talvod vasita kol malatecha, v'yom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha, lo ta'aseh chol malacha, ata uvincha uvitecha, abdecha v'matecha v'hemtecha, v'gercha asher b'sharecha, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz, et hayam v'et kol asher bam, v'yinach b'yom hashvi'i, al kein berach Adonai et yom HaShabbat v'yikadshehu, savri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafen. All right. We'll see who says Shabbat Shalom this morning. Mom, Shabbat Shalom to all. Well, thank you, Mom. Everyone have a great Shabbat. Enjoy your afternoon, your day. Take a nap, go for a walk. Do both. Just enjoy Shabbat. Be careful out there, and we'll see you soon. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.